Applied Engineering's PC Transporter. Welcome to PC Transporter, transporting your Apple and you to the world of MS-DOS. This video was designed to help you install the card from the setting up of your workspace to actually booting MS-DOS on your Apple. What you can do from there is almost limitless. To install and use PC Transporter, you'll need an Apple IIGS, IIe, or II Plus with at least 64K of Apple II RAM installed. You will need the PC Transporter software included with the PC Transporter package. You must have IBM PC DOS version 2.0 or later, or Microsoft MS-DOS version 2.0 or later. The IBM system disks are not included with the PC Transporter package. You can get them from many IBM dealers and software suppliers. You must have at least one Apple-compatible disk drive, such as the Disk 2 5¼ drive or the Apple-compatible 3½ drive with a controller. This drive will connect directly to your Apple and allow you to boot the PC Transporter startup disk. You must also have at least one PC Transporter-compatible disk drive, either a 5¼ double-sided drive like the Trans drive or a 3½ drive such as the Apple Disk 3.5 drive. This drive will connect to PC Transporter and allow you to boot MS-DOS. Do not connect a Unidisk 3½ drive to the PC Transporter. You will also need a PC Transporter-compatible video monitor. Compatible monitors are discussed briefly in this video and in greater detail in the user's manual. II Plus owners, you must have an IBM-style keyboard. Your II Plus must be Pro-DOS compatible and it must be FCC approved. The video is divided into separate sections, the beginnings of which are marked by dividers. These dividers will allow you to fast forward or scan past sections that do not apply to your installation. Feel free to stop the tape and review at any time. Now, let the installation begin. Setting up the work area. Good lighting is important for installing the PC Transporter. We recommend a swing-arm desk lamp, but any bright overhead light source will do. You will need plenty of elbow room and an electrical outlet nearby. The main part of the computer, called the system unit, must remain plugged into an electrical socket throughout the installation. Preparing the computer. Power down all of your equipment and clear off the top of the Apple system unit. Remove the monitor, disk drives, and any other equipment that may be on top of your computer. Don't disconnect these yet unless you need to. Now, remove the cover of the computer. IIGS users need to press in the two latches at the rear of the system unit with your forefingers while pushing up on the side of the case with your thumbs. IIe and II Plus users, use your fingertips to pull up and back the rear edge of the computer's cover. Set the top out of the way. Touch the power supply case to remove any static electricity from your body. Do not skip this step. Static electricity can damage your computer and its boards. Now, disconnect all the peripherals and cards currently connected to your Apple. It is important that you follow the manufacturer's instructions for removing each peripheral and card. Applied Engineering will not be responsible for damage to your other cards or peripherals. You may want to make a list detailing where your peripherals and cards are attached and label each with a piece of tape to avoid confusion when you're ready to reinstall them. Once removed, put them in a safe, out-of-the-way place. You won't need them again until after you have finished installing the hardware. IIGS users need to disconnect the IIGS keyboard. Again, touch the power supply to remove static electricity from your body. Take PC Transporter out of its anti-static wrapper, holding it by the edges. Place the card chip side up on top of the anti-static bag and lay the bag flat on top of the computer's motherboard. Be careful not to touch the card's gold fingers or chips during the installation. Keep the cables and other transporter hardware within easy reach. It is important to note that the cables in this video may differ cosmetically from the cables included with your PC transporter. However, they are virtually the same and you can locate and install them as described. Now you are ready to go to the section of this video for your brand of Apple II. The 2GS section immediately follows this section. Installation instructions for the IIe follow the 2GS section. 2 Plus users can use the IIe section as an installation guide. Installing PC Transporter in your 2GS. You have 3 types of monitors to choose from when using PC Transporter with the 2GS. If you have an analog RGB monitor, such as the Apple Color monitor commonly sold with the 2GS, or the Sony monitor sold by Applied Engineering, you can use it for both Apple and PC Transporter video. Both outputs will have full color capability. Using the color switch and the composite video cable kit, a composite monitor will display both PC Transporter and Apple Video. If you want to use a composite monitor, you will need to refer to the PC Transporter User's Manual for instructions. You can also use a separate digital CGA-compatible monitor, such as an IBM-style monitor, but it will work with PC Transporter video only. Refer to the manual for further instruction on using a digital monitor with the transporter. Installing color switch for the analog monitor. To install the color switch, first locate the RGB adapter cable. It looks like this. Remember, the cable may have a slightly different appearance, but its installation and function will be the same. Feed the female connector into the opening in the back panel that is immediately next to the 2GS power supply as shown. Now get the color switch card. Attach the female connector of the adapter cable to its male mate on the color switch, like so. The connector will attach easily in one direction only. Make sure all 6 pins are connected. Now push the strain relief grommet into the mounting plate on the color switch. The lips of the grommet should be flush against the outside surfaces of the mounting plate. Locate the 10-wire cable with male 10-pin connectors on each end. It looks like this. Plug either of the male connectors to the female 10-pin connector on the color switch. The cable's stripe will be toward the top edge of the PC transporter. Hold the color switch up to the backplane so that the screw holes of the mounting plate line up with the opening. The chip side of the board will be facing away from the power supply. Use the screws provided to secure the color switch mounting plate to the opening in the back panel. Attach the male 10-pin connector leading from the color switch to the female 10-pin connector on the transporter. Now connect the disk drive cable. It is a 19-wire ribbon cable with a female 20-pin flat cable connector on one end and a female 19-pin connector on the other. Locate an unused medium-sized opening toward the right edge of the backplane. Hold the connector up to the opening from inside the computer while using the included screws to mount it firmly to the backplane. The edge of the cable with the stripe should be the top edge. Now attach the female 20-pin connector to the male 20-pin connector on the transporter as shown. Connecting an IBM-style keyboard. If you do not plan to use an IBM-style keyboard, fast forward to the next section. The keyboard cable is a 5-wire ribbon cable with a flat cable connector on one end and a round female DIN connector on the other end. Locate a small unused opening in the 2GS's backplane. Check your diagrams to make sure that the port is not already being used. Feed the wires into the computer from the backside so that the flange surrounding the DIN connector is outside the backplane. Secure the connector to the backplane using the included mounting screws. Now, attach the flat male connector to the female connector on the PC transporter. The connector was made so that it will fit easily in one direction only. The stripe will be on the top edge. Inserting the PC transporter. Now you are ready to insert the PC transporter card into its slot. Pick up the card like so. Be careful not to touch the chips or the gold fingers. Rest the card on top of the slot with the chip side toward the right of the Apple's case. Carefully line up the card in its slot and gently push down on the back of the card with the palm of one hand. You may want to rock it slightly back to front to help seat it firmly. If the card does not go in easily, check for any cables that may be blocking the slot. Now you can replace your existing cards. Use the installation documentation for each card and refer to the diagrams you have made to make sure the cards are replaced correctly. Don't move an expansion card to a new slot unless you are familiar with the card's slot requirements. Moving the external connectors, however, should cause no problem. Now, reattach the peripherals. Start with the peripheral connections you originally had, then connect the transporter's peripherals. The IBM-style keyboard attaches to the female 5-pin DIN connector, which would be installed in this circular port. An analog monitor's DB15 connector attaches to the female DB15 connector you installed in the Apple's backplane. Plug the 19-pin cable coming from the color switch into the built-in female connector on the 2GS's backplane as shown here. PC transporter-compatible disk drives can be connected in a number of combinations. Some basic guidelines are: the TransDrive 5¼ drives must be connected before 3½ drives. Remember, you can use an Apple Disk 3.5 drive, but not a Unidisc 3.5 drive with a PC transporter. You must have at least one Apple-compatible drive connected directly to your Apple's existing disk drive connector, and at least one PC transporter-compatible drive connected to PC Transporter's disk drive connector. Once you have reinstalled all the cards, close the case. Installation is complete. You can now fast forward to the section titled Running the PC Transporter. Installing PC Transporter in your IIe. You have three choices for video output when using the PC Transporter with the IIe. If you have an analog RGB monitor, such as the Apple Color monitor commonly sold with the 2GS, or the Sony monitor sold by Applied Engineering, you can use it for both Apple and PC Transporter video. Refer to the IIe cable installation section of the manual for details about using an analog monitor. You can also use an Apple-compatible composite monitor. It will allow you to automatically switch between Apple and PC Transporter video. Your third option is to use a separate digital CGA-compatible monitor, such as an IBM-style monitor or the Sony monitor in digital mode, but it will work with only PC Transporter video. If you are using a digital monitor with the transporter, follow these steps. Locate the digital RGB adapter cable. It is an optional cable and is not included with the installation kit. Remember, the cable may have a slightly different appearance, but its installation and function will be the same. Find an unused small-sized opening in the IIe's backplane. Secure the female connector in the IIe's backplane using the screws provided. Now, attach the male 10-pin connector to the female 10-pin connector on the transporter as shown here. The cable stripe must be toward the top edge of the PC transporter. Now, connect the disk drive cable. It is a 19-wire ribbon cable with a female 20-pin flat cable connector on one end and a female 19-pin connector on the other. Mount the 19-pin connector onto the backplane using the screws provided. Again, the stripe must be on the top edge of the cable. Now, attach the female 20-pin connector to the male 20-pin connector on the transporter. This connector will fit easily in one direction only. Connecting an IBM-style keyboard. IIe owners may fast forward to the next section if they do not intend to use an IBM-style keyboard. 2 Plus owners must now install the IBM keyboard cable. The IBM-style keyboard connector cable is sold separately from the IIe installation kit. It looks like this. Simply mount the DIN connector onto the backplane through one of the small openings using the screws provided. Make sure that the stripe is on the top edge of the cable. Now attach the 5-pin female connector to the 5-pin male connector on the PC transporter as shown here. The connector was made so that it will fit easily in one direction only. Attaching the IIe keyboard adapter. 2+ owners may fast forward to the next section. If you want to use the IIe's keyboard with the PC transporter, locate the IIe's keyboard cable connector. It is located on the far right side of the IIe motherboard. Disconnect the IIe's keyboard cable connector from the Apple's motherboard. Now locate the IIe keyboard adapter card. It looks like this. Attach the IIe's female keyboard connector to the male connector on the adapter card. Connect the IIe keyboard adapter card to the IIe's motherboard at location J1. The 10-wire cable should be leading away from the board toward the computer's backplane. Now connect the male 10-pin connector from the adapter card to the female 10-pin connector on the transporter as shown here. Again, the stripe on the cable must be toward the top edge of the PC transporter. If you are using an Apple-compatible composite monitor, follow these steps. First, locate the composite video cable. It has a 2-pin female connector on one end and a 4-pin female connector on the other end. Next, locate the 4-pin male connector directly behind the keyboard adapter card on the Apple's motherboard. Attach the 4-pin female connector to the 4-pin male. This connector may be difficult to install, so take your time and be sure to align the connectors correctly. Now, attach the female 2-pin connector to the male connector on the PC transporter in the position shown here. Attaching the speaker cable. Have the supplied speaker cable ready. It has a 2-pin connector on either end. Disconnect the existing Molex connector from location J18 on the Apple's motherboard. This connector is located on the right corner of the motherboard closest to the keypad. Connect either end of the supplied cable to the connector at J18 on the Apple's motherboard as shown here. Make sure that the connectors are properly aligned. Connect the free end of the supplied speaker cable to one of the 2-pin connectors located toward the keyboard end of the PC transporter. Attach the connector that you have unplugged from the motherboard to the remaining 2-pin connector on the transporter. Inserting the PC transporter. Now you are ready to insert the PC transporter card into its slot. Pick up the card like so. Be careful not to touch the chips or the gold fingers. Rest the card on top of the slot with the chip side toward the right of the Apple's case. Carefully line up the card in its slot and gently push down on the back of the card with the palm of one hand. You may want to rock it slightly from back to front to help seat it firmly. If the card does not go in easily, check for any cables that may be blocking the slot. Now you can replace your existing cards. Use the installation documentation for each card and refer to the diagrams you have made to make sure the cards are replaced correctly. Don't move an expansion card to a new slot unless you are familiar with the card's slot requirements. Moving the external connectors, however, should cause no problem. Now, reattach the peripherals. Start with the peripheral connections you originally had, then connect the transporter's peripherals. The IBM-style keyboard attaches to the female 5-pin DIN connector. The male DB9 connector of your digital RGB monitor connects to the female DB9 connector here. A composite monitor does not need any special connections to work with PC transporter. Simply reconnect the composite monitor to the Apple IIe's RCA video jack. PC-compatible disk drives can be connected in a number of combinations. Some basic guidelines are: the 5 1/4-inch drives, referred to as standard drives, must be connected before 3 1/2-inch drives. You must have at least one Apple-compatible drive connected directly to your Apple and at least one PC-compatible drive connected to PC Transporter's disk drive connector. Once you have reinstalled all the cards, close the case. Installation is complete. Running PC Transporter. This section is a general guide designed to help you get started using your Apple to run MS-DOS. For specific questions and information on customizing PC Transporter for your particular computer system, you will need to refer to the user's manual. First, make backup copies of both sides of your PC Transporter disk. This is very important. It is a terrible inconvenience for you to have to replace a crashed master disk. If you are unfamiliar with the copy procedure, refer to your Pro-DOS user's manual. Stop the tape until the copies are made and your master disks are in a safe place. To start running MS-DOS as quickly as possible, follow these simple steps. Place your backup copy of the front side of PC Transporter's boot disk in the Apple's boot drive. This is the drive connected directly to the Apple, not to the transporter. It can be either a 5 1/4 inch Apple compatible drive or a 3 1/2 inch Apple compatible drive. Place your backup copy of a bootable MS-DOS system disk in the PC Transporter A drive. This is usually the first drive in the disk drive daisy chain. You can use the trans drive shown here or an Apple 3.5 drive. Now, boot the Apple. The computer will go through the following screen sequences. This screen, with the prompt Loading from Disk, means that the PC Transporter is loading the MS-DOS operating system into your Apple computer. Welcome to the Apple world of MS-DOS, brought to you by Applied Engineering's PC Transporter.